most Irish citizens. Would you believe that this rich country, which has managed off the backs of working people to generate an exchequer revenue surplus of €5 billion last year, people are still struggling, as we know only too well, to house themselves, to have their children looked after, to have children with disabilities properly catered for. That's not the kind of republic that we in the Labour Party believe in. It isn't.
And some bullshit.
So,
some bullshit that is.
if Anna has set out her clear vision, if Anna has set out her clear vision in a democratic way, and if people want to change the government, they have the opportunity to do that at the next election, and I look forward to that, to a new, more social, democratic vision. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for most of you for your attention. We will now, when we have the opportunity, open the meeting up.
Let him speak. Let him speak.
And the opportunity for everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed.
The ways we do it in Drogheda Municipal District Council is that 3 people, I will pick 3 people to speak, and they can ask a question. They have 1 minute to ask a question. Everybody has to be kind. Excuse me, this is the way it works in a council meeting, and we'll do the same way as we do. So we will, if anybody would like to raise their hand if they want to speak, but you must be kind, you must be courteous. There will be no hate speak in this place. There will be no intimidation. There will be no targeting of anybody here, but we will listen and we will try to answer your questions. Thank you. I will answer. It's just like being in school. I'm a school teacher. If you raise your hand, we will come round to you. You have, excuse me, I'm not finished speaking. You can just second. Sorry, I will come round to you though. Thank you. It is a bit like, I always say, I go to student councils and tell them what way it works, you know, being on a council, and it's like I'm the principal and you have to raise your hand, and it doesn't work any different. It doesn't work any different in a council. That's how government works. That's how local government works. That is how local government works. So the first person, thank you. Thank you. This lady wants to speak. Would you like to let her speak? Would you like to let her speak? I'm just trying to give you a similarity of what we do, and that's the way the council works. So if you are elected as a local representative, that's what we have to do. And the council, PO Elaine has to raise their hands, no different from anybody else. We don't think we're different from anybody else. Thank you. So 1 minute, thank you.
We can clearly see the room is full of Labour Party supporters here. We can clearly see that, okay? So that's fine.
So following on from that, that's not what I came here about, but yes, I am a witness to that, and then things are happening. Also, I'm a mother of 3 children, and I took my daughter last summer through the streets of Drogheda, and I could not walk up the street with her without being leered at and looked at by people. I cannot. RD is now next for 200 now coming into Ireland from the refugee centre. How are you supposed to tell me that my children can come from the secondary school? Tell me how my children are going to be safe to walk from secondary school to my house. Can you tell me that you can guarantee that all these people are coming in? How can you tell me they can be safe? Yes, in Ireland, yes, there's Irish men in the prison are full. I know that. But these people are coming in unvetted. Can you look me in the eye and tell me when I see my daughter, she'll be with me in my house at 3:10, and I'm looking at her and thinking, is she coming in? Where is she? There's tourists down the country right now, and that's their number 1 worry. And you tell me how that's equal and in Ireland for all.
Michelle. I just want to start by just paying tribute to Michelle's excellent calm chair.
I spent over 30 years.
You should leave. You should leave. You should leave.
I'll say this. I love your passion. Put it into keeping our people safe. And I'm very happy you guys have to say COVID vaccines, refugees, wording them up.
Why don't you just listen to what she has to say? The ability shows different. Basic respect. Somebody else's point of view in a democracy. You respect everybody else's point of view. You're here in a public meeting. You're here in a public meeting which you are entitled. You're here at a public. You're here in a public meeting. You're here in a public meeting that you're entitled to speak at. This is democracy. We're a democratic party. We might disagree with your viewpoint, but we are listening. Where else would you have that opportunity? Where else would you have that opportunity? You say you're concerned with the public service. I haven't seen a single one of you at a housing protest. I haven't seen a single one of you at a protest at a Lady Edwards Hospital. I haven't seen a single one of you campaigning for
we have an Garda Síochána at the back of the room here, just keeping an eye on everything. So we just want to make sure it is nice and calm for everybody, okay? Yeah.
My grandfather fought against fascism, and we will never tolerate it.
Okay, we need to get a little bit of control back in the meeting. No, that lady spoke already, but thank you. We will try. We can't answer if people. Sorry, Jed. Sorry, Jed. Jed. Thank you. Right. This lady at the back of the room wants to get her answer. Ivana tried to give her answer, but the two ladies at the front who have the same sentiment, but you won't even let your friend get an answer. So, you know, have a little bit of respect even for people of, you know, please. So would you like to listen to Ivana give an answer?
Yes.
Okay, and just to remember that we are here to be kind and courteous. We are trying to listen to you. Ivana was going to reply to you, but you were just talking over her. And we do want to have a bit of respect in the room. You know, that's... Well, we're not keeping you here. We're nowhere trying to evict you. Nobody's trying to evict you. Would you like to back up and will you let her speak just to try and address some of the questions that the people respectively questioned? Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you again for sharing so calmly. And can I just say, we've had a whole series of town hall meetings, we've had a whole range of different issues raised that matter to people. And I appreciate the frustration of many people who've contributed. I appreciate the experiences that people have shared. It's very important that we hear that as elected representatives. We are elected by the people. Michelle elected in her local area, Elaine and Pio in theirs, Jed elected in Louth. So we're here to represent and listen to people. So in response to your question, because you asked the first question, the first actual question about vaccination, and I'm very sorry to hear about your health issues, and you know, thank you again for sharing the experience. I'm a mother too, and I have very strong belief in the power of vaccination to save lives, the power of vaccination, and the power of... I'm responding to your question. We in Labour have always followed the public health advice. We followed the advice of the Chief Medical Officer. We've promoted the vaccination campaign through COVID because all the evidence we've seen... You asked a question. I'm answering the question. I'm answering your question. And what I'm saying to you is, if you have a strong view backed up by evidence about a particular issue and you believe that view is not being represented by our party or by any other party, then I think you do need to stand for election, to push, to put forward that view. We live in a democracy. That's your prerogative. No, my response. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry to hear about your illness. No, I am answering. I've just answered it. I've told you that we in Labour support. We will help to support anyone who is suffering. But I'll tell you one thing. We've looked for long COVID clinics because so many people have suffered long COVID. Well, we're looking for treatment for those who are hurt. Okay. All right. We'll agree to disagree on that. On the refugee point, I want to stress my enormous support and commendation of Michelle, of Jed, of all of our reps here in Louth for on the Louth for All campaign. My experience travelling around Ireland is to see the enormous solidarity and welcome that communities across Ireland, urban and rural, my own constituency, this constituency, across the country, the solidarity and welcome that has been shown to the people who have come here seeking refuge from a brutal invasion of their country, in the case of Ukraine.
In our society that have held us all back. And the question that I have for Ivana is this, right? Is that there is a paucity of ambition on the left in terms of what we could become. It doesn't exist in the Labour Party. There will be no other political party, in my view, that will do what the Labour Party are doing tonight. And so my question is this: I think a lot of our deep-rooted societal problems that cause many of the, there are concerns, there are legitimate concerns, and there are nonsense commentary, but there are legitimate, and I often feel that it's the lack of public service provision that provides, what we were able to do in the pandemic. We could develop a single-tier health system with the stroke of a pen. I mean, never would we have lived with the idea that we would treat people with COVID on the basis of the need, because they can pay, but yet we do it for every other illness. We need something done for a single-tier health system. I mean, we told people on social...
Huge appreciation for that enormous sacrifice and contribution. But I think you're absolutely, everywhere I go now, I'm hearing about shortages of skilled staff in nursing, in home care, in healthcare generally. And I think what we need to see is a really concerted attempt by government on three fronts. Okay, first of all, a massive increase in training places. And interestingly, at DKIT today, I heard about how the ERC, the employment, is still holding back recruitment because they don't have enough teaching staff to train up people in construction and nursing and others. So that's the first thing, is free up the constraints on third level from hiring lecturers and teaching staff so we can bring on more trained professionals in healthcare. Secondly, big recruitment programme, not just from abroad, but also from the many, many skilled people who've come to our country seeking refuge. I think now nearly 1/3 of those who've come from Ukraine are in jobs, because any Ukrainian refugee, anyone I've met, they want to work, they want to get jobs, and many are highly skilled, and we need to ensure a very smooth pathway to recognition of qualifications for those from other countries who have healthcare skills we need. So that's the recruitment piece, not just about recruiting abroad, but also recruiting here in Ireland from a pool of skilled labour that want to work. And finally, we need to see really strong action on accommodation, because that's the final piece of this. I was in the Rotunda a couple of weeks ago with staff there, hearing about how they have recruited from abroad to fill a really serious gap in their midwifery. Nowhere for nurses to come here from other countries to live. Nowhere they can afford to live within a commute of the hospital. And they're talking about reopening old nurses' homes again. So we need again to see government moving on that and supporting the delivery of nurses' accommodation. So I think that's it can be done, and we have the resources there to do it, and it requires huge investment. And that brings me to the final question. Thank you, about public service provision and a unified single-tier health service. Yes, that is what we in Labour stand for. It's the socialist vision. It's Tom Johnson's vision of a healthcare system that's paid for through taxation, that's free at point of access to all who need it, based on medical need and not on means to pay. That's the pure socialist vision, and that's what we're trying to build support for across Ireland. That's why we're all here tonight. That's why we're trying to work to build support for Labour and for left-wing parties and candidates generally, to secure support for that vision of a more equal Ireland on healthcare, but also on childcare, on social protection, and across the range of public services. And you're right, it was a squandered opportunity during COVID, because we saw how the state resources can be harnessed to deliver a more equal society. And that's what we're seeking to do, and we want your support in doing that. I'm a mother of 2 daughters myself. Again, I would simply say this: I don't think it's fair or right to conflate issues around the safety of children with issues about refugee accommodation. You mentioned a group of men from Georgia who have poor English. We have a group of men and women from Georgia very near me in Dublin, just been housed there. I've met them. They are desperate to learn English. They're working really hard on learning English, and they're already getting job offers because we are a country that desperately needs people to work here. And you know, we've just heard from Lynn about nursing. Nobody can get healthcare workers or nurses. Every day I deal with elderly people who have been approved for a home care package, but there's no home care workers to come and help them get dressed or feed themselves in the morning. We are desperately short-staffed across Ireland. My friends who run cafes and bars and restaurants, they can't get staff. So, you know, there is an answer to the skills shortage, and that is upskilling people who are here, and a lot of it is about English classes, and that can be done. And can I just say one more thing on issues of refugees? In 1946, my father came here as a refugee. He was brought here by his father. His father set up Waterford Glass in 1946. At its height in the 1980s, Waterford Glass was the biggest employer in the southeast. It employed 3,500 people. There's a plaza in Waterford City named Batchick Plaza after my grandfather. That shows you the contribution that people make when they come to a country, when they migrate to a country with their skills, with their expertise. Yes, as refugees, and my family were political refugees from Czechoslovakia. My grandfather had been imprisoned by the Nazis and was in the Czech resistance. But the communists were also, were going to imprison, so he came here. So, you know, let's be clear about refugees and about people who come here seeking a better life for themselves.